Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. Come on in here. We are so excited to have you here today for our educational symposium. But again, welcome to Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. You know, obstacles come in all forms. I mean, all forms. Low self-esteem, depression, generational curses, lack of education, homelessness. These and other obstacles impact our young people every single day. However, that's why I have this platform, because my platform, if they follow my basic principles, it will assist them in overcoming those obstacles. I believe it is better to train early rather than to fix later. So I am super excited to have our second annual educational symposium. I'm going to read a poem for you right now. It's called Black Education. It's by Jasmine Roper. I asked a variety of people to say the first word that came to mind when presented with the noun crisis. I heard many different responses: a problem, a catastrophe, an unbearable disaster, and yet never did I hear the biggest crisis of all: education. education. Allow me to dissect the word for a second. The abbreviation for education is made of the first three letters, EDU. You find it on website domains everywhere in your textbooks. However, the first three letters are the least important. When you drop that edu, you're left with a word extremely crucial to the English language: caution. For many people who don't understand this word, caution, it means to be attentive, alert, to take enough care to avoid error, danger, or making mistakes. Funny, right? Students are constantly punished in school for mistakes, errors, not being attentive enough, constantly being told to be quiet and to settle down, or turn to page 155 and stop looking around. Let me change this path a little. Allow me to alter your focus for a second. We are speaking of a crisis, one larger than education as a whole, a part of education that has been belittled, spat on, or strapped on a leash and taken for a stroll: Black education. Every year, our classrooms get larger. With larger quantities comes more diversity. And yet, our units get smaller, and the best education are given to those with the largest dollars. The truth is, we no longer care about the information we are being taught because it only presents the people and white wars that were being fought. It is hard for students to identify, accept, and appreciate the information in front of them if it never directly relates to them. I'm sure everyone in this room is aware of MLK's "I Had a Dream" speech, or Rosa Parks' famous word, "no." But what about the PlayStation, the Wii, or the Xbox you used last night? Thank Jerry Lawson for that. And yes, he is Black. Did you know that? From such a young age, we learn about the theories and discoveries that Benjamin Franklin gave, but not once are we told about Louis Latimer, the man who invented the carbon filament used in all light bulbs above our heads today. We're held up to the standard of excellence. They expect us to be cautious, meticulous, and strive for nothing but perfection, something said to be achieved by a proper education. However, please explain, how is that education rumored to be so proper when I try my best when they say, "Please God, stop her"? Black education must be taught or it'll enlarge as a crisis very soon to be fought. While I calm down and allow that to sink in, know and understand, Black education must never end. They say we're too violent, that all we do is fight, and yet all we do is look for our ancestors in our textbooks every night. Every head shouldn't turn towards me on the topic of slavery. If it were so taboo, they wouldn't have to be. As I tie up my tongue and sit back in my seat, I continue to pray that history doesn't repeat. And that was by a young lady So I thought that was an excellent speech to get started here on our educational symposium tonight. But I am super excited for this young lady that I'm getting ready to introduce, because when I say super excited, she is definitely super excited. I'm talking about none other than Nickena Bryant. Nickena Bryant is a mother of 5 amazing children. She has worked as an educator for over 15 years. Nickena holds a bachelor's degree in psychology and is currently in graduate school for continuing education in reading. In her free time, she enjoys volunteering, reading, and exercising. Her unique, memorable quote, "When life gives you lemons, sugar and water make lemonade. But when all it gives you is lemons, bite into one, make a funny face, and enjoy." That sounds like someone that's creative. So please join me in welcoming Miss Nickena Bryant. Hi, Nikki. How are you?
I can hear you just fine. Are we having a lapse?
Here, you're on now. I hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, awesome. I was just saying, I'm so excited to be here. You cannot imagine how excited I am to be able to talk about education, to talk about creativity. Those are like 2 of my life's passions. I've always known I was going to be a teacher, like since I have been old enough to know that people have careers. And so I'm just so excited to talk about my passion. And people tell me all the time I'm creative. I don't know what they mean. I'm just me. Things just happen. Like, for instance, this morning I was doing my hair and I was like, oh gosh, on the radio show, I'm going to need to look extra cute. Guys, I found a belt for my daughter's shorts and I tied it on as a headband, and I feel like it just made the outfit great. So creative things just happen to me. But I am, you all, so very excited to be able to present you with some information on things that I am very, very passionate about, things that I have just kind of lived throughout my life. I want to first off start off by defining what creativity and what teaching is to me, and then to combine those 2 terms, what those 2 terms mean when put together. I also want to give you all some strategies for how to be more effective, more creative teachers. As I was listening to the poem that Miss Smith was reading, I heard all about all of these inventors and all of these Black people who really empower us as a community, because they've done such great things and they've provided our world with such great technology, and just in and of itself is just creativity. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to talk to you all about creative teaching tonight. So for all of you Bible thumping Christians, which I am, I just want to start off with a couple phrases. Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created, right? So then we move on in Genesis, and it says he created human beings in his image. Moving from that, what can we then determine? We are created by the Creator to be creative, because God is the Creator and he made us in his image. Therefore, it is an innate attribute for us as human beings to be creative beings. So just for all of you Bible thumping believers, I know that is enough to define creativity. It is who you are by your nature. But for you all who are who want a little bit more, who want to know a little bit more about creativity, the dictionary definition of creativity is the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, and relationships, or the like, and to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, interpretations. So it is the ability to transcend into new things. And in that, I mean, to me, that highlights my life. Like every day is a new day. Every day is a day to make a difference. Every day is a day to make something new, to make a better day, to make a new something, to change technology, whatever. Okay, teaching. Teaching can be defined as engagement with learners to enable their understanding and applications of knowledge, concepts, and processes. A teacher requires not only knowledge of a subject matter, but knowledge of how students learn and how to transform them into active learners. So tonight, I hope I'm able to give you all some creative strategies. And I'm also hoping that I'm able to help you all understand how you can transform people's lives. Now, when I say educator, I personally, yes, am a teacher. I have been teaching for 15 years. Yes, I do personally volunteer and teach in children's church. But a person who educates can be anyone. You can be a parent educates. You can educate someone on the street, somebody you don't know. My kids go to karate. They have a sensei that is their educator for that particular skill. My son, he's in football. He has a coach. That is his educator. That is the person that is put in his life who knows the subject matter, but also knows how to teach them the subject matters and how to transform them into active learners. So just know you do not have to be a certified teacher to be considered a teacher or an educator. Any person who can teach somebody something is a teacher. And in that, you need to be creative in what you do. All right. So teaching can also be, teaching is a process of attending to people's needs, experiences, and feelings, and intervening so that they learn particular things and go beyond the giving. So, guys, I've given you several definitions of teaching, giving you several definitions of creativity, and now we're going to go into, so then what is creative teaching? Creative teaching is thinking about the necessary things to learn, the must-dos, the content, the skills, whatever you're trying to help the person understand, and turning those on in that person's head. Guys, my favorite part about it is it involves risk-taking. Teaching involves risk-taking. You have to fail sometimes in order to learn, and that's okay. And so as teachers, we should teach people how to take a failure and make that into something that is a lesson learned. Like I say, if you have lemon, sugar, and water, you can make lemonade. But if you don't have lemon, sugar, and water, all you have is a lemon. So bite into it, make a funny face, and go on and move on and learn something different. Learn from it. Learn from it. Learn from life. Okay. So creative teaching makes learning an experience. It is engaging. It is exciting. It is entertaining. It empowers, and it teaches excellence. It teaches you to be excellent. Creative teaching teaches you to be excellent. All right, so we're going to jump into how to be a creative teacher. First and foremost, in order to be a creative teacher, you have to be able to tap into all modalities of learning with whatever subject you're teaching. So you want to make sure that your learning is visual. You want to make sure that it is auditory and that it is kinesthetic. And as we go through, I'm going to give you all some examples of things I've done as a teacher, as a person who, a Sunday school teacher, or excuse me, a person who teaches at my church, and as a mother, as a team mom on the cheerleading squad. I mean, there's just so many places that I've been able to teach people things. And I'm going to give you some examples of those and how within those contexts, the visual learner was taught, auditory, and kinesthetic. And remember, you want to do all three of those things at one time. Visual is what they see. Auditory is what they hear. Kinesthetic is what they do. All right. So let's get into it. A great way to engage. So remember, I said creative teaching engages the learner is to ask the audience an open-ended question. An open-ended question cannot be answered yes or no. So this is an easy way to teach creativity, to teach creatively, because it doesn't require a whole lot of preparation. You just have to create some questions up front that you're going to ask your audience that don't have a yes or no answer. And then as the person who is teaching, whoever your audience is, be it a student, be it someone you're coaching, whatever. But when you ask those open-ended questions, then it facilitates this space where everybody gets to have these ideas. So a lot of people will have different answers to the question, and they may not all be the same, and you just open up the floor for discussion, right? So that's a good way to engage, and it's a really easy way to engage. Research shows, guys, that based on what we know is, research shows that people remember about 10% of what they read, about 20% of what they hear, about 30% of what they see, about 50% of what they, about 70% of what they discuss with others, about 80% of what they experience personally, and about 95% of what they teach. So when they're asking questions, when they're giving answers in this dialogue situation, can you see how they would have just this huge memory and there's this huge space for them to learn from one another? In addition to that, I like this quote from Helen Keller. Helen Keller says, if you have an idea and I have an idea, if you have an apple and I have an apple and we swap apples, then we each have an apple. But if you have an idea and I have an idea and we each swap ideas, now we each have two ideas. So you not only engage the learner with when you're asking open-ended questions, but you're also facilitating a space where people can get just a multitude of ideas. And who cannot be creative when they have a whole lot of ideas? Ideas is what make us creative. We act on those. Creative teaching excites the learner. It not only excites the learner, but it also excites the teacher, right? So here's some examples of ways that you could excite your learner with creative teaching. Have you ever thought about just changing the location of wherever you do the teaching? If you're an actual classroom teacher, or a person who teaches at church, or a person who teaches in one space all the time, have you ever thought about just changing the location? As a kiddo, one of my teachers in elementary school, she would take us outside to do our learning, and just be able to be in that open air, in that sun, in that beautiful space. You just tended to absorb more. Like our test scores were higher when she would take us outside and teach us, because of just the change in environment. It was just different. So it's exciting. It excited us. When you go on field trips, that's changing the location. But not only is that changing the location of where you learn, but it's changing the location of it's facilitating. It's a space that just completely facilitates new learning. For example, when you go to the zoo, and my daughter and I, we were talking about this last night. We went on a field trip. I'm, of course, the mom who goes on the field trips with their kids. We were on a field trip, And we were walking around and they were just kind of gazing at stuff and walking away. And I told my group of kids, I said, no, this experience is meant to be a learning experience. You guys should take the time and read the bios about the animals. Look at what the animals doing. Are they doing what the biography, with the little, you know how they have the little stumps where they talk teach about the animals? Are the animals doing what's said on those pictures, on those bios, or on those pictures? And so as we're walking around, then it just facilitated conversation between us. And they were able to learn more about the animals at the zoo than they could have learned about animals in their class, because not only were they able to see the animals in their own habitat, read about the animals in their own habitat, but they were in an exciting environment, an environment that engaged them as learners. Another way to excite the learner is, for all of y'all church people out there, Vacation Bible School, think about how we decorate the church. So from the time you walk in until the time you walk out, it's an experience of whatever the theme is for that particular lesson that you're going to teach in Vacation Bible School. So, and for instance, for us, we decorated an African safari one time. Y'all, we had vines and leaves and all that hanging down, and animals walking the hallway. They looked like they were walking the hallway along with us. But we created an environment that excited everyone. And so it just opened up the brain, and it helped them to think more and engage more in what we were doing. When you think about schools, when it's, for instance, if it's Black History Month, you get to learn so much about African American figures if the school is decorated according. So you may walk down a hallway and there's information about Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, Mary McLeod Bethune. I mean, just a plethora of people that you wouldn't think about teaching it. I mean, that you don't normally hear in history class, but you could line the walls with pictures and information of those people, and that just excites the learner, because you get to see a picture of who this person actually was, who is like our great ancestor, who's 400 years ago, was with us 200, 300 years ago, and they're alive and on canvas. So it just excites your mind, it excites your brain, and then it makes you want to learn more about it. So another thing, games. So games excite the learner. It's like, we're going to take a break away from our daily lesson and we're going to play a game. With my students, y'all, I would make game days. And the reason I made game days was not just because I wanted to give a break, but I knew that it would help my students learn and master the material that I was teaching them. So here's an example of a game we would play. We would take index cards, and whatever sight words we were reading that week, we would write 2. I would write 1, student would write 1. Then we would play, you would turn the cards over, right? And so if you turned over 2 cards with a matching word, awesome. You only have to read 1 word because it's the same word. But if you turned over 2 cards that didn't have matching words, that's memory, right? The game memory. So if you turned over 2 cards that didn't have matching words, then guess what? You had to read both words. But that was teaching them to read. And it was exciting because it's a game day. And guess what? You could possibly beat the teacher. Like, how often do you get to beat the teacher in the classroom? The teacher is the one that knows it all. But if you have a good memory, you could beat me in memory. But we would just play all different kinds of games. One of the things that I liked playing when I was a kiddo in school, and I've even seen it nowadays, y'all, I won't date myself, but I'm an 80s, baby. But one of the games that the teachers used to play when I was in school, and like I said, I've seen it since I've been a teacher myself, is we would have relay races with our spelling words. So we'd have the class was split in half, and we would have to run up to the board and spell whatever word the teacher called out. Whoever spelled it correctly in first got a point for their team. They would run back, give the marker to the next person. So it sounds like a track race, but we basically took what people would do in passing the baton in track, and we made it a game at school. And I have since played it with my students. They love it. It increases their knowledge of spelling words, but it's exciting. It's fun. It's not sitting down and just writing words over and over again. It's not write them 3 times in print, write them 7 times in cursive. It's let's play with our learning. Let's have fun with it. Guys, people use sand and write letters and words in it. People take Play-Doh and write the right words with Play-Doh. There are all kinds of things you can do to excite your learner. You just take away the pencil and the paper. You think as a creative teacher, think about it. How can I teach this without pencil and paper? How can I teach this without a dry erase board? How can I teach this without putting a kid on the internet? Not saying that the internet is not great, because they have some fun and engaging games, but as a creative teacher, what are some things that you can take away that you know that you use a lot to teach with, and then use something different and replace it? That will make you more creative. What do I always use? Okay, well, I'm not going to use that today. What can I do differently? Let me bring out my creative juices. A creative learning environment, a creative teaching entertains. It is fun. Creative teaching is fun, and it's an open environment. There is no one who is left out, because from the person who is doing the worst in the class, or doing the worst with the course, or doing the worst with the life lesson, to the person who's doing best, everybody's being entertained. Everybody's having fun and excited about learning. Having fun and being excited. Did you guys know that it increases learning because it increases brain activity? Entertainment increases brain activity. It increases your activity from neurons in your brain, oxytocin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Oxytocin is your pleasure hormone, right? Dopamine is your reward and motivation. It's your learning senses. It's your thinking hormone. And it increases norepinephrine, which is your energizing and attention hormone. So just by entertaining, you increase the child's attention span. I didn't mention that that it also increases your memory, because it increases those pleasure hormones. So entertainment is part of creative teaching. So think about that. Now, I have a scenario for entertainment. Like I said, I'm going to try to give you some ways I've done these things, and then maybe you can take them and apply them later. One way that I have worked as a teacher to entertain has been just recently in children's church. We brought out a water slide, and you all, as a children's church person, I was like, okay, so how are we going to make this water slide go with church? Because the church don't need to go with the water slide. The water slide needs to go with church, right? So I was thinking, I'm like, this is going to be very entertaining for the kids, but I don't want them to lose sight of the word because they're having so much fun. So this is what I did. I helped them by doing a little experiment. And it was a very, very simple experiment. All it involved was some water bottles. Before we went outside to the water slide, I had them do like this little object lesson. And so I said, guys, I'm going to give each of you a water bottle. And I want you to take a sip of that water bottle. And I want you to tell me what you feel when you get the sensations that you feel from the water bottle. And so, of course, how does it feel when it goes in your mouth? It's cold. I can feel it on my tongue. I can feel the water bottle hit my teeth. I mean, they thought about things that I didn't even think that they were going to say as they were saying it. Okay, how does it feel going down your throat? I can feel the coolness of the water going down my throat. Now that it's in your stomach, can you feel it? Nope. And and that was awesome. That was the point that I was trying to make. And so we had been learning about the fruits of the spirit. And so I was telling him, I was like, so when you're at church, you can feel the word, you can feel it because you're there and you're in it, you're immersed in it, just like you felt that water going down your throat. When you're at church, when you're praying, you can feel the word. When you're meditating, talking to God just on your own, you can feel the word. Rarely do you just go to school and just catch the Holy Ghost. I'm not saying you don't, I'm just saying it's not like you just feel it all the time. Even though you don't feel it while you're doing your day-to-day things, it's still working in you. Just like the water that you have in your tummy is still working in you. It's ridding your body of those impurities. Is really ridding, just like the word is ridding your body of sin. So I was able to talk to them about that before we went outside to the entertainment. And I said, okay, so guys, the water that you're going to feel on that water slide, it's going to give you happiness. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy it. But that water is not going to be inside of you working. It's going to be working outside. It's going to be fun. You're going to feel it for the time being. That's like happiness. But like I said, we were talking about the spirit, the fruits of the spirit. And I told him, I said, but the joy is always in you, just like the water that you drink. And so I was able to use that entertaining time to hone in and help them to fully understand, or to better understand the word. That's creative teaching. That's entertaining. Another thing that creative teaching does is empower. Creative teaching not only empowers the learner, but it also empowers the teacher. Creativity begets creativity. The more creative you are, the more creative your audience will be. The more you do to try to get outside the box, the more the kids will do to get out of the box. And the more they do, the more you learn from them and the more they learn from you. So it's reciprocal. The more, as you teach creatively, they will learn more. And as they learn more, they'll do more. And it just kind of, so it'll make you work harder even to think more. So it just helps you out as the person who's facilitating the learner to be more creative. And then it helps the learner to be more creative because you are engaging them, you are empowering them, you are creating this system of excellence, and you're creating this environment where there is no loser, there is no winner, there are just learners. Whenever something happens that is a mistake, it's fine because you learn from it. You're inspired to take risk because you're enjoying yourself. You want to do more. You want to learn more. You want to enjoy it more. So you do more and more, which makes you learn more and more during those creative times. So it empowers the learner. I'll give you just a scenario from one of my students. So I had this student, guys and ladies, and the counselor mentioned to me that he felt like this child wasn't going to be able to learn. I think he said like more than 4 new words that school year. So for me, challenge, because I can't see a person like that. You can teach a goldfish tricks. So I know that if I'm your teacher, you're going to learn more than 4 words this year. But if you're my student, I care enough about you to ensure the very best. So for my particular student, I was speaking about how we would play the games with the words and this, that, and the third. Another thing I noticed, another thing I would do, because I noticed there were certain basic words that this child couldn't spell. And I needed them to learn how to spell them because they're things that we need to know how to spell to get through day-to-day life, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, January, February, March, those kind of words. And then so what I would do is creative teaching strategy. So it's another strategy was I would daily make a header. And every day my header would say the student would have to write their first and last name. They would have to write the date with the day of the week. So today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. All of that would have to be written out so that they could better understand how to spell those words. I would also have that student spell out my name because my name is not Miss, and it's disrespectful to call me Miss. I don't call you boy, I don't call you girl. So I would have the student write out my name. And then I would have them write the title of whatever we were learning that day. So that just kind of that helped to increase writing words like the, and, a, that kind of stuff. In addition to that, I took the high frequency words. And by the way, just to let you all know, if if people know, if you know a non-reader, somebody who's dyslexic, somebody who is illiterate, if you can master the first 100 fry words, you have mastered 95% of what kids read between first and third grade. So what I did was I took the fry words and I would put them on index cards. And so if my student asks to go to the restroom, you have to read this word to me before you can go. Not only did you have to read it when I held it up to you, but it was posted on the door. So you had to touch it and read it when you walked out the door. There are certain areas in the room where these words were posted. Anytime you went to these particular areas, you had to say the word. That in turn taught this child how to read. I will say he was empowered because by the time we finished our time together, the child was reading about a grade level below when it came to fluency. But when it came to comprehension, though the child was a slow reader, she was a slow reader, they were able to comprehend the material on grade level and pass their assignments with grade level materials without the need of a teacher or somebody there to help them. But that was because we used creative teaching. There were things that this particular student couldn't get away with that they had gotten away with before. They were known to just kind of be quiet and shy and not say too much. Well, you have to talk to me. There's not an option. You need to go to the restroom. You got to read these words. You need a pencil. You have to read this word. So it made space and time to force that person how to read. So those are just some strategies that I wanted to give you, but those particular things empowered my learner, because my learner went from being the lowest functioning student in their class to being able to keep up with what the other students were doing. I know I just mentioned my daughter a few minutes ago, and she's amazing. I tell everybody when I grow up, I want to be like her. She has dyslexia, y'all. And for the longest time, she hated school. She'll still tell you she doesn't really care for it. But she wants to be a doctor, so she knows she has to go. So she does what she has to do in order to do what she needs to become this doctor. But in kindergarten, she had a crying meltdown every day. In first grade, crying meltdown every day. Second grade, we had a wonderful teacher, so we didn't have as many crying meltdowns. Third grade, crying meltdown, but the teacher was like, nope, you can cry, get your cry out. But after that, you have to read this. And so all that to say, she's had a lot of wonderful teachers in her life. But I'll say one of the most impactful, one of the most important was the teacher who taught for dyslexia. And that's because when you teach something as simple as a letter, just one of the 26 letters in the alphabet, you have to teach all modalities of learning. You have to teach it auditorily, visually, and kinesthetically. And I know you're probably like, how do you teach a letter auditorily, visually, and kinesthetically? But it has been done. And research that dates back into the late 1800s shows how it came about. So the way, say for instance, I'm teaching the letter A. The way I teach it visually is I show you a flashcard of the letter A. The way I teach it auditorily is I have you say the letter A. I say the letter A, you say the letter A. The way I teach it kinesthetically is this thing called skywriting. And so I have you write it with your arm, with your full arm in the sky without a piece of paper. And there is a connection between those major and minor muscles in the brain, and it trains your brain to learn how to read those letters. So, with all that being said, it took years of research to form those creative teaching methods, but those creative teaching methods were formed, and now that's being used and it's teaching kids with dyslexia all over the world. And those methods have a just real high percentage rate of kids learning to read. With that being said, my daughter is empowered now that she knows how to read. Y'all, I can't get her to put her phone down because she reads these little comics on her phone all the time. But she does it because now she's been empowered. She had someone who creatively taught her to read. And through that, she's learned how to read. She's mastered that skill. She's empowered. She tells me, Mommy, I'm going to be a doctor. I need to learn to read more. So I just have to take my time and read as much as I can so that I can learn to enjoy and take the pleasure from it. So just that is an empowering story. We went from someone who completely hated to look at a book to someone who reads consistently all the time. Because of creative teaching, she was empowered. All right, y'all, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I'm going to give you another Bible quote, and I think it's important because it just helps facilitate the discussion we've had today. So 1 Corinthians 3:10 says, according to the grace of God given to me, like a skilled builder, I laid the foundation, and someone else is building upon it. Let each one take care how he builds upon it. Guys, be creative. Be the skilled builder. Lay the foundation that someone else can build upon. They will build amazing things. You will look back and know that in life, you made an impact on so many lives because you chose to teach them something. And like I said, a teacher is not necessarily what you think of when you say the word. It's not an educator necessarily in a classroom. It could be sensei, football coach, cheerleading team mom, church leader. It could be just you walking up to a stranger. We have Miss Deborah Smith, who is a teacher, who is creatively teaching, who is inspiring and building lives and helping people to learn what they need to learn in order to get through life. I love her quote where she says, it's better to train early than to have to fix later. But even if you have to be fixed later, even if you're the lemon, not the lemonade person, learn, be creative, go teach somebody else. The last thing I want to say is activating creativity could be a powerful way to tap into our deepest selves and to access the divine. I know it has helped me to do that in so many ways. I am so divinely inspired. I didn't know where I would go until the Lord showed me. But it's because I tapped into the creativity that He gave me. He told me, you're going to be a teacher. He told me as a child. I felt it, never heard it. When it came to teaching in children's church, 2 people approached me a few days before the children's minister asked me to be a leader. And that's because I tapped into my creative spirit. I tapped into who I was, and I decided that I was going to share that gift with somebody. So tap into who you are. Tap into your gift. We're all creative. It's a divine attribute. It's who you are. It's how you were made. And inspire somebody else to be creative. Thank you. I'm so glad to have had my time with y'all tonight.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was awesome. I love it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Creative teaching.
Yes.
I would love to be a student in your classroom.
Come on, Miss Deborah. I'd love to be one in yours. I'm going to be watching the videos for you for times to come. You're a creative teacher.
Great. Thank you.
You're a wonderful platform.
Thank you. All right, everyone out there, I haven't seen any names for haircuts tonight. We are trying to give away these complimentary haircuts. I only have one so far. I got many to go. I don't know what's going on. So I know we have the different type haircuts and everything, but I know you young man have to get them trimmed up because my grandson has the updo and he's trimmed. So I know you get them trimmed and everything. So parents, you don't want free haircuts. This is not a what is it? Shade Tree Barber. This is a licensed professional barber, the barber, Dante Rucker. He is ready to bless you with these haircuts. So please, please, please put your name or your child's name in the thread or either DM me or something because I want to bless them with these free haircuts.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Yes. And does everybody have dreads? Is that what's going on?
Is that what it is?
or either they have too much stimulus money. I don't know. Something's weird. I would love to bring my sons for a free haircut. Save some money.
Yes. All right, friend. I got you. Watson. I got you.
She's smart. She's smart.
Yes. And on yesterday, I was so honored. I got to donate my book, Be Your Best Life, some copies to my alma mater. So I was excited about that.
Yay.
They're doing some wonderful work there. It's Jean Revolt Senior High School. They have a organization for young men, 5,000 role model. And so I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Oh,
yes. So we have had some excitement this week. I'm going to put my announcement up right quick so we can do a little quick recap. And we have one more night, but y'all have really blessed me. God know what he was doing when he selected the educators for this week because y'all have awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll accept those compliments. I'll accept them for everybody.
All right. All right, this week has been a blessing. My second annual educational symposium. The theme this year was hooked on books and looks because reading is fundamental, it's good for you, and everyone needs to be nice and neat and trim when the school starts. Anastasia Smith started us out on Monday evening, and she has bridged the gap. On Tuesday, we were pleasured by Anita Jean Cummings with her Catch Up. And that was just so awesome. Catch Up. Past strategies and thrive for school reopenings. On last night, Sheila Walker overcame those obstacles. She turned them around. Awesome job. And tonight, creative teaching approaches with Miss Nickena Bryant. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, we're going to be closed out. And that's August the 6th by Linda Wright Patrick of Freeport, Bahamas. She's going to close us out with the next chapter, Love and Happiness. Can't wait to see what Miss Linda has for us. And again, we have those complimentary haircuts. All you have to do is put your name in the thread or DM me, call me, whatever you need to do. Well, however you want it trimmed. You want it trimmed, you want it cut, you want it sliced, diced, whatever you want. Put your name in the thread. And that book donation I just mentioned, have one other school to donate books to. Reading takes you higher. So please read, read, read. Thank y'all so much for that. Please read.
Yes.
I can't say that enough. Reading will take you so many different places. You may say, well, I can't go on a vacation. Get a book and read. You will feel like you were there. I love reading. It relaxes me. Like I say, it takes me places. It teaches me different words, what things mean, where different places are. So it is just fun.
Yes, yes. And it's something that everybody hasn't always been able to do. It has not always been available. So
Right.
I mean, that's something to think about. Like before 100 years, 200 years back, not everybody was able to do it.
Right.
And even before that, you had to be a king or queen to learn to do it. So it's something that's free for us now. And knowledge is empowering.
Yes. So again, thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To Florida.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be contacting you.
Yes. And thank you, Yvonne, for keep taking our comments tonight. I appreciate it. And we're waiting on the chef.
I want my fish. I really want my shrimp.
Oh. All right. What did he say? He said he got it.
Okay.
As always, as you're on your journey to being a better you, remember, you will run into distractions, rough terrain, detours, and pitfalls. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be a better you so that you can build your best life. And remember, building your best life is our business. And that's not a slogan, it's our commitment. Thank you so much. Love you all. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And enjoy and keep teaching those creative tips, Nikki. Love it.
Thank you.